Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast, and Texas Tech football is just over a month away. And if you were excited for year two of Joey McGuire and Texas Tech football in 2023, be sure to like the video. And hey, it'll keep you in the know all year long just by simply liking the video. It goes a long way in terms of helping us, but also we stay on your feed and you stay in the know on Texas Tech football all year long right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel. We're just over a month away. As I said, it is time to get into the position previews for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And what better place to start than, well, arguably the most important position in all of sports. Of course, we're starting with the quarterbacks today. We'll discuss Tyler Shough and expectations for him as QB1. What will this Texas Tech offense look like in year two of Zach Kittley? And what does Tyler Shough look like in terms of his projected stats in 2023 if he was to play double-digit games, whether that's 10, 11, 12, and then obviously the bowl game as well. We'll also talk why Tyler Shough is so important for Texas Tech if they do want to, in fact, have a chance to win the Big 12 and play in a New Year's Six Bowl. But before we do that, let's jump into the depth chart for the Red Raiders. As I mentioned, Tyler Shough is QB1 for the Red Raiders going into 2023. Joey McGuire announced that on June 9th that Tyler Shough would be the starter for Texas Tech for the third year in a row. His backup will be Baron Morton, who's probably not a backup in terms of capability, but that's a luxury that the Red Raiders have this year. He will be QB2 to start the season. Then you've got Jake Strong, a highly regarded freshman quarterback coming in at the number 3 spot. And then at the number 4 and 5 spot, it's kind of a coin flip. It's Jaden Morris, a redshirt freshman, and then Will Burns, who, if you're a Texas Tech baseball fan, you may recognize that name. But in 2022, in the 7 games that he played in last year, technically, it was really 6. He only threw 2 passes against Baylor, obviously 1 a pick 6, and now with his teammate, McCarty from Baylor. But Tyler Shough looked like this last year. He had 11 total touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and just over 1,500 total yards, right? Shough is a guy that has a ton of pedigree. I think everybody knows that by now. A 4-star quarterback out of Chandler, Arizona. Went to Oregon, backed up Justin Herbert, started for Oregon, went to the Rose Bowl, then transferred to Texas Tech. In his third year here, it's just he's been unlucky when it comes to the health aspects of things. And there's a ton of pedigree here, not just from the high school ranks, but pro scouts feel the same way, right? This was a guy that was regarded as a potential first-round pick in the NFL draft. He's got the skill sets to do it. Now he's going into his, third year as a Texas Tech quarterback, and he is going to have a chance to really cement himself as a high-round quarterback draft pick. And I don't think he's going to go in the first round, but I think there's some Hendon Hooker aspects to Tyler Shough. What I mean by that is it would not shock me if he goes in the second round or third round if he has a very good year for Texas Tech. And he's got a really solid chance to do it with the improvements on the offensive line and obviously it being year 2 of Zach Kittley, which we will discuss here in just a second, right? We'll talk about Texas Tech in terms of their respective ceiling and what they want to do long-term for this year in terms of team goals and how I think Tyler Shough plays into that. But for right now, know this when it comes to Tyler Shough. If Texas Tech wants to reach their goals, Tyler Shough has to stay healthy. And this is not a knock on Baron Morton. It's simple and plain this. I think that Tyler Shough gives Texas Tech its highest floor, and that's kind of what Texas Tech needs right now in terms of all the offensive weapons and improvements that the Red Raiders have on the offensive side of the football. But before we talk about Zach Kittley in year number 2 of him as the offensive coordinator, scale it for me. 1 to 10, how confident are you with Tyler Shough as QB1 for the Red Raiders in 2023? Just let me know. 1 through 10, 1 being not confident at all, 10 being I'm more confident than I ever can be about a quarterback. Let me know down in the comments below. Forgot to mention this. Tyler Shough 8-0 in games that he started and finished as a Red Raider. Pretty solid if you ask me. But yeah, let's jump into the Zach Kittley aspect of this. And I don't think it can be understated from the quarterback position how important it is to have that continuity when it comes to your offensive coordinator, right? Again, this is the first time Tyler Shough will have the same offensive coordinator in back-to-back years in his entire college career. He's 23 years old. Okay, think about that for a second. You get that terminology down. There's trust there. There's knowledge of how guys interact and everything like that. That's huge, right? I tweeted this last week. And if you haven't already, be sure to follow me. My handle is right below my name right there over on Twitter. I guess it's called X now. That's weird. But last season, Texas Tech QBs averaged an interception on every 31.7 passes thrown with 3 different quarterbacks. The reason I looked into this was, what does Zach Kittley look like offensively in terms of his quarterbacks from one year to the next? And remember, his 2 previous stops, Houston Baptist and Western Kentucky, he had the same quarterback, okay? Bailey Zappi was his quarterback down in Houston and also at Western Kentucky. From 18 to 20 at Houston Baptist, his quarterbacks averaged an interception thrown on basically every 35th pass, 34.7. At Western Kentucky with Bailey Zappi in his 3rd year at quarterback for Zach Kittley, 58.08. So an interception thrown on nearly every 60th pass, right? That's unrealistic for Tyler Shough in this Texas Tech offense. But the reason I bring it up is this. When you look at everything that Tyler Shough has done, 34.7 matches exactly what Zach Kittley did at Houston Baptist, like to the decimal point, right? I think Tyler Shough takes an exceptional jump forward, right? And if he even just halves it, right? We're talking 34 to 58. Just go right in the middle there and let's say 46, right? There's a really good chance we're talking about Tyler Shough having over 30 total touchdowns and having, 5 or 6 interceptions. And if that happens, it escalates and makes Texas Tech ceiling that much higher. I went on to say this. Health is obviously a big key for Tyler Shough in 2023. He's been vastly unlucky in that department during his time in the 806. That being said, it's year 5 for him and the first time that he's had the same OC in back-to-back seasons. I expect this stat to go to the 36 or 37 range, right? We're not even talking 46. And I expect Texas Tech to be much more improved in various areas, including turnovers on the offense in year 2 of Zach Kittley, because the QBs know the system better, the O-line is improved, and you now have multiple veteran QBs, right? This is one thing for me where I think it can't go understated. That second year for Tyler Shough going into Zach Kittley's offense, it truly can't go understated, and I think it needs to be talked about a little bit more, just from the standpoint of the elevation of Tyler Shough's game and the knowledge that he goes in to this camp with, and not trying to really rummage through and try and learn an offense almost on the fly. Now he can go in there confidently, knowing the playbook, knowing the signs, and having that ability to switch up plays even more so than he did in year 1 of Zach Kittley. All right, one word to describe Zach Kittley's offense at Texas Tech. Just let me know what it is. One word to describe his offense at Texas Tech. I know some people will say fast, cerebral, whatever it is. Let me know your one word down below. All right. Let's get into Tyler Shough here and a little bit of his stats, okay? And I'm going to be looking down, making sure I get all these stats right. In 2022, I mentioned it. He had those stats, 11 total touchdowns, 4 interceptions, just over 1,500 total yards. His career stats, he's got a 64% completion percentage, just under 4,000 passing yards, 29 passing touchdowns, 13 interceptions with a passer rating of 151.9. Also has just under 600 rushing yards and 8 rushing TDs. I took the averages of the last 4 games that Tyler Shough started after he came back healthy, right? And you look at this, just project them out. These are the averages, and then we'll get to the projection of these averages. 266.5 passing yards, 66 rushing yards, 332 and a half total yards right there. 2.5 total touchdowns per game and a passer rating of 134 and a half. I would expect that to be better. But over a full season, that would be 3,198 passing yards plus total yards would be just under 4K if you did the rushing aspect of it. 30 total touchdowns, and then a passer rating of 134 and a half. For context, okay, the last QB to have 4,000 total yards for Texas Tech was Patrick Mahomes, okay, back in 2016. We're talking 7 years. I know people will call me crazy for this, right? But I truly believe if Tyler Shough stays healthy for 10-plus games, these numbers are within reach. Do I think he probably rushes for that much? It was over 700 yards, maybe, but I doubt it. I'd probably put him in the 500 range. But I think that he could get to that 4,000 total yards or just be underneath it. And truth be told, if the Red Raiders want to get to their goal, which is to play in Arlington and play for the Big 12 title and win it, and then go to a New Year's Six bowl, right? Tyler Shough has to get 4,000 total yards or damn near close to it, right? He has to be healthy, okay? And if he gets to 3,800 total yards, I think Texas Tech ceiling truly could be that of going to play in Arlington. But health is a big factor. He's been unlucky. Everybody knows that. But I think this is the year that everything comes together for Tyler Shough. And he proves why people were talking about him as a potential first-round pick as early as 2 years ago. And I think he leaves for the NFL draft and truly has a big-time year and gets drafted in that second, third-round range out of Texas Tech. Would be crazy. Once again, before we get out of here, scale of 1 to 10. How confident are you in Tyler Shough as QB1 for the Red Raiders going into the 2023 season in year number 2 of Joey McGuire? Just let me know 1 through 10 down in the comments below. And if you haven't already, like the video if you're excited about Texas Tech football in year 2 of Joey McGuire. And hey, while you're at it, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay in the know on Texas Tech football all year long right here on your one-stop shop for everything Texas Tech athletics. Of course, talking about the Back to 12 podcast channel.